All right, so I have started the recording. I do want to thank you for joining. This is our virtual About Our School event. As you probably know, especially with COVID a few years ago, which is crazy to say, a lot of our open house events and things like that have transitioned to more of an online setting. So with that being said, I am going to technology would play nicely to move on in the presentation. So today I'm going to move very briefly, just giving you an overview of our school, some lower middle school information, some upper school information, and then more of the nitty-gritty details of our admissions criteria. This is Hallie Rojeski. She is our head of school. A lot of times she does try to join these events. Unfortunately, today there was a conflict with scheduling, so she was not able to. But there, so you can see her. And typically, just to, again, give you an overview of our school, we are focused on individual student achievement. We really use research-based programs, specifically our Orton Gillingham program for reading remediation. We really try to focus on just being that supportive environment for the students. A lot of students are coming to us having experienced some form of bullying or feeling different where they were prior. So one of our number one priorities is creating that supportive and safe environment for our students, making sure our faculty and staff are high quality and are always up to date on any of the changes. You'll see closer to the end of the presentation, but we dismiss an hour early every Wednesday. And that is specifically for teacher professional development and collaboration. So we really want to make sure that we are giving our teachers the time and the ability to stay up to date on all of our students' current needs.
Right.
My name is Keri Cauthen. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management. I taught high school English prior to my role here. Prior to that, I worked at Lindenwood Bell Learning Processes, and I have been here for a little over a year, getting to lead families through the admissions process and the financial aid process at the John Crosland School. So if you're looking at our school and just kind of those facts at a glance, we were established in 1978. We were previously Door Academy. Since 2012, we've been the John Crosland School, and we transitioned to that name when we moved to our current location. We were the first school in North Carolina dedicated to students with learning differences. We are really known for our small class size. On average, we have between 6 to 9 students per teacher, depending on the grade level, the content, and various different aspects. But really that small class size is what affords us the ability to accommodate and meet so many students where they are.
Someone have eyes on Griffin?
Excuse me, turn that off. We do have an extended day program, and I'll talk more about that in just a little bit with more details of our daily schedule. We have athletics. The Charlotte area is unique in that it does have quite a few different options for specialized instruction for students that just need that extra support. The thing that does make the John Crosland School unique is that we do still feel like a school when you're walking our hallways, and we try to still have those elements of kind of that, what you think of when you think of school. We have a book fair, we have athletics where students practice after school and compete against other schools. Even though it's a small division and it might look a little bit different than other schools, we still try to incorporate those elements. And then we do have OT, speech, and a dyscalculia specialist on campus, where the families can partner with them, and we help incorporate it into the students' daily schedule and help facilitate collaboration between those specialists and the teachers.
Okay.
So we are a K through 12 school. Grades K through 5 typically run from 8 to 2:40 every day. Middle school is 6 and 7, they're 8 to 2:50, and then upper school is 8 through 12, and that's 8 to 3 o'clock. So we do have that staggered release just to help with the carpool line. I already mentioned Wednesday we dismiss an hour early. And then the other thing that's unique about our scheduling is that we start and we end each day in this advisory or homeroom period. And that's specifically to help our students with their executive functioning skills. It's to give them that start and end of the day with a teacher that's solely focused on relationship building and not assignments and classwork. And that's where they'll do things like make sure that their binder is organized and it's kept up to date all throughout the year, or their agenda is being used all throughout the year. We'll do some social emotional learning push-in at that time. We target an executive functioning skill every couple of months, and we highlight that during that advisory period. So really making sure that we, again, have multiple layers of supports for our students. We do have a student support specialist for grades K through 7. Her name is Lori Sullivan, and we have an upper school counselor for grades 8 through 12. That's Jennifer Bailey. So they are the ones who really focus on that college and career counseling, specifically Miss Bailey at the upper school level, kind of what comes next after upper school. They focus on those weekly social emotional learning classes. So again, those are things like perspective taking or understanding why someone might not want to talk about trains for 2 hours, even though that's a high interest topic to you, and understanding how to communicate or balance that in a communication. So there's lots of skills like that that are focused in those classes. They use the Social Institute curriculum for that. We do proctor all of the standardized testing on campus, again, for those students in the upper school. And then we also have educational management plan meetings, or EMPs. So twice a year in the fall and in the spring, and we're actually gearing up for our fall EMPs here in the next couple of weeks. The parents meet with the child's entire team. And this is where we sit down. At upper school, we ask the students to join as well. And we really talk about, where are we now? What are our goals? What are we doing to reach those goals? And then did we meet the last goals that we set? So it's constant reflection and communication with the child's entire team at 2 planned times each year. So Mr. Brisbane is our director of lower and middle school. At our lower school, we group on ability rather than on grade level. So you might step into a classroom and see 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders in the same room. Again, it's a very small group, but you might see that mixture. And that's because those students are at a similar level of need for that particular content area. So we're not so much saying you're in 4th grade, just because you have that grade label on you, you have to be doing this content. We're really trying to meet them where they are and remediate and close those gaps. We do that through that multisensory approach to learning, through Orton Gillingham, if their weakness is in reading and they really need that intensive reading remediation. We have the vocabulary development, reading comprehension. One of the things that is really unique to our school is we do have a sensory gym on the lower school level. So you go in and it's got a rock climbing wall, and there's like these little sensory paint things that they can stand on, and balls that they can bounce on, and a tent that they can go in, and really just giving them that space to take a break if they need it, and then be able to join back to class. And then they also are doing specials. So like I said, we try to still maintain that school schedule. So in the mornings, they're doing things like math, reading, writing, and then in the afternoon, they have art, PE, cooking. I think we're doing American Sign Language this year. So that's something that does rotate year to year, but making sure they're getting those specials. And a lot of that is the same for middle school as well. So our middle school is only 6th and 7th, but they still have that multisensory approach. They still have access to that Orton Gillingham remediation if needed at those levels. They're also taking specials. You see band introduced in middle school where they're learning an instrument. And again, really focusing on that executive functioning support at this age. Middle school is a beast of an age, no matter what you have going on. So just making sure that we have all of those supports there for them.
Yeah.
We do have a kindergarten program. So like I said, we are K through 12. Kindergarten program really is focusing on how to be a student, how to follow a set schedule, how to not have a total meltdown if it's 9 o'clock and you want a hot dog, but you can't get your hot dog until lunchtime. So a lot of those just introductory skills along with the academics. And then we have our upper school. So Mr. Hurd is our director of upper school, and he is really helping our upper school focus on that college prep. Our middle school and upper school does something called master class. So for 2 weeks when they come back from winter break, they are in a high interest elective all day for 2 weeks. So they are actually earning a half credit elective at the end of that time. But it's just a nice way to kind of ease back in after the break and do something really high interest. We do have a beta club. We do partner with CPCC to do some dual credit classes if that is a need. So, really just trying to plan what comes next. Our upper school is fully accredited. Our students are taking all 24 credits they need to earn their North Carolina diploma. So they really do have the option to choose what is the best next step for them. And of course, we
Right.
support and help them through that. Looking, and I know that was a lot and it was very fast, but I know for if you're joining this, you're probably just in the very beginning stages of trying to learn, is this even potentially a good fit? So part of that is knowing the admissions criteria. So in order to meet our school or to attend our school, you need to have a diagnosis of a learning disability and or ADHD. If you have one or multiple of those, then you can also have high functioning or level 1 autism. At that same time, we're also looking at IQ results. So that can be a full scale or a general ability index score. And we're kind of looking for that average or above average IQ score. No primary behavioral or emotional disorders. We're simply just not equipped with the supports to really set those students up for success. And then the way that we confirm all of this is by having that complete psychological educational evaluation or an IEP that is less than 3 years old. IEPs are kind of hit or miss. Sometimes they have all of the information that we need. Sometimes they don't. But a lot of times I'll tell families, go ahead and send that to me if that's all you have, because then I can kind of dig through it for you and let you know specifically if there's something missing. And then to kind of look at the admissions process. So typically it starts with kind of an introductory phase where we have a conversation, you send that documentation, we review it, see if we think we're a good fit, and at that same time schedule a tour of the school so you can kind of walk around and really step into classrooms and get the feel of the school. If at the end of all of that, both parties still feel like, okay, there's potential here, we want to continue moving forward, that's when we'd set you up in our online parent portal where you would complete the application and submit 2 teacher recommendations. Once we have the application and the 2 teacher recommendations, that's when we schedule the 2 to 3 day student visit. And this is really the most valuable part of the process because the child's able to attend our school for at least 2 full days. And this is not just like a shadowing process where they're just kind of sitting in the back of the room and watching. We immerse them in it. They have their own desk. They're doing what the other students are doing. They're eating lunch with our students and playing on the playground and doing math if they're in math, working on a worksheet, because we really want to do 2 things. One, we want to see if we have the supports in place to set the student up for success, but also we want the child to be able to go home and tell you, hey, I felt really comfortable there. I made a new friend. I really liked the teacher. Or maybe the opposite. I didn't really feel like I fit in. It didn't feel like a good fit, because it is a 2-way street. And we want to make sure that, both parties are going into it as eyes wide open as possible.
Yeah.
We do have entry points. So we are a rolling admission school. We accept students throughout the year, but there are some guidelines within that. So we're kind of looking at entry points after each quarter. So this is creating kind of that natural break point so that all new students are starting at a similar time. So they kind of have a little cohort to be able to go through orientation and not feel so alone in that process. It's also allowing our teachers time to prepare for the new students and make sure that they're not in the middle of a project or something like that. It kind of creates that more natural breaking point. So for this fall time period where we're at now, apply by September 27th in order to have that October 16th start date. Then there's a December 1st application deadline for the January 3rd start date, or a February 2nd deadline for the February 20th start date. And now you'll still go through that entire admissions process, but these are just those windows of time for the potential of enrolling and starting with us.
Yeah.
We do have a tuition, but we also have tuition assistance. So we do have a financial aid application that is just through our school. That application is on the website. You complete the application. It's a third-party application where you're prompted through submitting financial aid or, tax documents, and then it gives us a recommended amount. We look at that in conjunction with how much money is remaining in our financial aid bucket for the school year to see if we can award There's also outside grants and applications. There's the Kids with Possibilities. There's also the North Carolina grants. If you currently live in North Carolina and your child has a North Carolina public school IEP, you could qualify for the ESA Plus grant or the Opportunity Scholarship, which is something that if you're interested in learning more about, I have another webinar in a couple weeks specifically on our financial aid application and those grants.
Yep.
All right, so I am going to stop sharing, stop the recording, and open up the Q&A here.